Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. Welcome in, everybody. Another edition, 2025 preview edition. College football betting. I'm your host, Aaron Torres. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's having a great day. Hope everybody is ready for another one of our over-under win total preview and prediction shows. At this point, you know the deal. First of all, we are less than 2 weeks to week 0. We will preview those games when it's time. We'll preview week 1 when it's time. But in the meantime, in August here, we are getting you ready for the season with over-under win total pods on all of the big teams in college football. At this point, we've done virtually all the SEC, Oklahoma, Texas, Georgia, Bama, Tennessee, LSU, on, and most of the Big Ten as well. Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, on and on. Today, though, we switch gears to the Big 12 and certainly a program that a lot of people are intrigued by, the Colorado Buffaloes. 9-win regular season a year ago. Also, though, are coming off of an offseason where they lost Travis Hunter, lost Deion Sanders. So what are expectations for the Colorado Buffaloes? I'm fascinated. We will preview Colorado football in just 1 minute. Before we get started, a couple quick reminders. One, make sure that you are subscribed to the College Football Betting Podcast and YouTube channel. On podcasts, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And also, we have a separate college football betting channel on YouTube. So in addition to the Aaron Torres pod, which, we're closing in on 60,000 subscribers. Appreciate your support there. We also have our college football betting show where we have surpassed 1,000 subscribers. We just started this up last season. We're trying to get to 2,000 before the start of the year. Can we do it? Well, we can't without your support. So make sure you subscribe, put on the notifications. Again, college football betting with Aaron Torres on YouTube, as well as Apple and Spotify. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. When we do, we are going to preview the Colorado Buffaloes, year 3 for Coach Prime in Boulder, but the first one without Travis Hunter and Deion. Quick break. Be right back. All right, everybody. I'm back. Good to be back. So, tell you what, it is time to continue our over-under college football win total shows. We've told you the drill at this point, but in addition to the Aaron Torres pod, we do a college football betting show every week during the season, previewing all the big games. But here in August, what we're doing is shows on over-under win totals on all the big teams in college football, okay? We've done most of the SEC at this point, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, Bama, LSU, etc. Make sure to find those. We also have done most of the Big Ten at this point, Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, Nebraska, on and on. Today, though, we switch gears to arguably the most interesting team in college football. We switch gears to the Big 12 with the Colorado Buffaloes. So Colorado coming off that 9-win season. What are realistic expectations in year 3 now under Coach Prime? Let's go ahead and discuss. Listen, I'll say this. I think because of all the noise, and for people who are new to the channel, I'm a Coach Prime guy, but I think because of everything that has happened since the end of last season, Deion Sanders, NFL draft, why did he fall, all that, Travis Hunter, is he going to play both ways in the NFL? Certainly, I should mention, by the way, Coach Prime, just so happy to hear that he's healthy after that health scare. I think it's easy to forget how good this team was a season ago. By the way, you can see it on the screen. Make sure to follow our Torres on Colorado account, Torres on CU on Twitter for all of your late-breaking Colorado news, Torres on CU, just all Colorado all the time. But to bring it back full circle, last year was an unbelievable year, and because there is so much noise, so many people are critics of Coach Prime in this program, it's easy to forget how awesome the season was. Now, it certainly didn't start that way. Week 1, you do beat North Dakota State. Week 2, you did get bullied a little bit by Nebraska. And I think, listen, I'll be honest, I was one of many people that said, are we trending towards this thing looking like year 1 where, after that first couple weeks, things kind of went off the rails? But to Colorado's credit, After that Nebraska game, they righted the ship and they were awesome. They beat Colorado State the next week. It's, just a game where they're kind of in control from start to finish. The following game is against Baylor, Big 12 opener. That was the thriller. Shedeur Sanders deep pass to tie the game. Overtime, Travis Hunter forced fumble wins the game. And from there, it was just a really, really, really fun journey following this team. I think to me, the game that really solidified, okay, this thing is different, after they beat Baylor, they go to UCF. They fly cross country and just destroy the UCF Knights. Now, listen, I know what everyone will say. UCF wasn't good. Gus Malzahn left after the year. I don't care. It was an absolute destruction, and Colorado deserves credit because that was kind of when you felt like, okay, this thing is different. They did lose to Kansas State the following game, but remember, they had a lead late in the fourth quarter, and Travis Hunter didn't play in that game. And then from there, they go on a 4-game winning streak, destroy Arizona and Tucson, beat Cincinnati at home, destroy Texas Tech at Texas Tech, destroy Utah at home, setting up a last couple weeks where if they were to win out, they go to the Big 12 championship game. Unfortunately, they fall against Kansas at Arrowhead Stadium. Doesn't quite work out. They beat Oklahoma State in the final game of the regular season, but unfortunately, the way the tiebreakers fell, they did not go to the Big 12 championship game, did not have a chance for the college football playoff, but still 9-3 regular season, 7-2. It ends in disappointment in the Alamo Bowl. I don't think we should undersell just how incredible that season was. Now, I think what's interesting, the season ahead, because I think there's two very interesting scenarios going on. I think that there is so much conversation about what was lost with Shedeur Sanders, who's certainly an incredible talent. We are recording right after that debut in preseason where he was 14-23, 2 touchdowns against Carolina. But Shedeur's gone. Travis Hunter, the Heisman Trophy winner, is gone. I don't think people quite realize how much Coach Prime brought in through the transfer portal this offseason, but also how much returns from a team a season ago that was better than most people realize. So let's get into this year, and let's start with the offense, because offense, obviously great passing team, not so great running the ball. And I think Coach Prime has been very vocal about like, hey, we want to get back to being a physical team, a tough team, a team that is able to run the ball this year. He said it at his media availability a couple days ago, and we'll see what happens, but he's certainly going to have the pieces. At quarterback, again, it's worth noting, it is mid-August. There has not been a starter announced yet at quarterback. I assume it's going to be Caden Salter, transfer from Liberty. It's easy to forget. This was one of the most coveted players in the portal. 2 years ago, led Liberty to a 13-1 record, threw for 2,800 yards, 32 touchdowns, and rushed for 12 more. Last year, banged up, this and that, a little bit of a regression. It doesn't change the fact that this was a guy that when he entered the portal, everybody wanted. You know who else everybody wanted? Julian Lewis, 5-star. We'll see what happens there. I would expect both of them to play, although, as I said, always subject to change. But my opinion is that Caden Salter will be the starter, and I think he'll play the majority of the snaps, even if Julian Lewis gets some burn. Looking at the rest of the offense, a couple things stand out. One, from a passing perspective, even after losing LeJonte Wester, Travis Hunter, Will Shepard, Jimmy Horn, I think you can argue this is the deepest wide receiver room in the Big 12, bar none. Amarian Miller, as you can see, 10 catches, 216 yards, 1 TD, and that was after missing 7 games with injury. Imagine what he is going to be like with a full offseason if healthy. Draylon Miller, 32 catches, 3 TDs as a true freshman last year. Remember, he had the first reception of the season from Shedeur Sanders, so Draylon Miller is back. The transfers, as you can see on the screen, Sincere Brown, as coveted as anybody in the portal after a year at Campbell, 61 catches, 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns. Listen, put aside anyone's bias. This was a guy that when he entered the portal, Michigan wanted, Texas A&M wanted, South Carolina wanted. He ends up at Colorado. You also have Hakeem Williams, a former 5-star from Florida State. Joseph Williams, who had 5 touchdown catches a year ago at Tulsa. I'm telling you, this is the deepest wide receiver room in the Big 12. Run game clearly has to be better. The good news is you got you got maybe the best offensive tackle in this league, leading the charge up front. Jordan Seaton last year was a freshman All-American. We know he was the highest rated offensive lineman in 2 recruiting classes ago in the class of 2024. Well, guess what? He is back after a freshman All-American season a year ago. Phillip Houston, I don't think there's any issues there, kind of banged up towards the end of last year. Most of the rest of the offensive line is either high major transfers or, group of 5 transfers that have played a ton. I'll just say this, a couple things. One, as I said, Coach Prime said he expects to run the ball much more than they did in previous years, and he believes they will be able to run the ball much more than they have in previous years. And everybody who's around this team says this is the best offensive line that they will have or they have had under Coach Prime. Obviously, the running backs to note, Dalen Hayden coming from Ohio State a few years ago, 1 TD a year ago, Micah Welsh with 4 rushing touchdowns a season ago. Let's get to the defense, because this, to me, this is the biggest thing we need to talk about. Again, Torres on CU on Twitter for all your late-breaking Colorado news. By the way, if you are a Colorado student who's looking for an internship, you can reach out to me, Aaron Torres, podcastquestions@gmail.com. I would love to get you some internship credit to help me run that account. Defense. So I think there was so much focus on Shedeur, Travis Hunter, LeJontay Wester, and the offense. I don't think people realize how good this defense was. Do you know that this defense led the Big 12 in sacks last year? Do you know that this defense led the Big 12 in TFLs last year? Do you know that this defense was part of a team that was plus 12 in turnover margin, one of the best marks in the Big 12 a season ago, and top 10 nationally? That team was really good. And here's the thing, they don't lose quite as much as you think. Yes, Travis Hunter is gone. Yes, BJ Green is gone. Yes, a couple notable guys are gone, but there's a lot of talent coming back from this team. And I think, as importantly, much like offense, on defense, Robert Livingston, the defensive coordinator, is back as well. You cannot put a price on a second year in this system. As far as names to know in this system, defensive line is as deep as anybody has in the Big 12. Okay. First of all, big name in the middle, Jaheim Otis. Okay. This is a guy, remember, he was as coveted as any defensive lineman in the portal. Number 1 rated defensive lineman in the portal, according to multiple services, started 10 games at Alabama a few years ago, all SEC freshman team, former 5-star, limited by injuries 2 years ago. Last year, he ends up transferring after Kalen DeBoer takes over. This guy is a load in the middle. Colorado gets him. In addition to him, here are some of the other names to know. Arden Walker, 6.5 TFLs, 3.5 sacks. Sam Okunlola, 7.5 TFLs, 3 sacks. Keaton Wade, who's kind of a hybrid edged linebacker guy, 7.5 TFLs, 4 sacks. And this was a guy who missed 6 games because of injury. I am just here to tell you, this front 7 is as deep and as filthy as any in the Big 12, and I don't think a lot of people realize it. Amari McNeil, by the way, 6 TFLs, 3.5 sacks a year ago. Again, Jaheim Otis, the noteworthy transfer. I think what's also interesting, linebacker. That was a place that I think Colorado felt like they had to get better, get some of the best players out of the portal. Martavius French coming in from UTSA, 80 tackles, 17 TFLs a season ago. Reginald Hughes, 83 tackles, 9.5 TFLs a season ago at Jacksonville State, playing for Rich Rodriguez. And by the way, I know I mentioned it earlier, we're recording here in the middle of August, so all this stuff is always subject to change. So if something happens in camp or something, don't get mad at me, because stuff is always subject to change. Finally, on that defense in the secondary, here's the bottom line. Secondary, bunch of former pros, a bunch of future pros, in that secondary. DJ McKinney is a guy that Coach Prime said he believed was a future NFL player a year ago, was all Big 12 honorable mention, started all 13 games, 3 INTs, 9 pass breakups a season ago. In addition to him, Preston Hodge is back, 7 PBUs, 2 INTs. At safety, Carter Stoudemire is back, 7 PBUs. And then he had a couple interesting pieces out of the portal, including Makari Vickers, a former highly rated player who started his career at Oklahoma. Let's get to the schedule. And as we look at the schedule, I think, first of all, the thing that stands out, marquee opener at home against Georgia Tech, that first Friday of the college football season. I know a lot of people are going to be focused on Auburn, Baylor. Don't sleep on Colorado, Georgia Tech. And I think what's interesting, by the way, Georgia Tech is actually favored in this game already. Now, again, always subject to change. According to the DraftKings Sportsbook, as of here, August 11th, we're recording this on August 11th. Georgia Tech's a 4.5 favorite against Colorado. Don't know that I love it. In terms of the bigger picture, and don't know that I love it in terms of the sports book, that might be one of my best bets. We'll get back to that as we get close to week 1. Look at the schedule. 4 of the first 5 games are at home, so I think that's a huge net benefit. The one road game, it will be a tough one at Houston on a Friday night. Then coming out of the bye I take that back. It's not coming out of a bye. But then after you play those first 4 or 5 at home, that's when it starts to get a little interesting. At TCU, Iowa State at home, at Utah. Now, you do get a bye before the Utah game, but Utah, I do expect it to be a team that is much improved. They lost a bunch of close games last year. You get Arizona at home for Colorado. You then from there get at West Virginia. Again, Rich Rod is the head coach there. You get a bye. Arizona State, the team that many believe is the best team in this league, of course, the defending champs. And then you close at K-State. So a couple things about that schedule. Think it's worth noting. We didn't have a Big 12 preseason poll this year, but virtually all the teams that everybody likes. There were 4 teams that were ranked in the AP Top 25 when it dropped. You had Iowa State ranked, Kansas State ranked, Arizona State ranked. You play 3 of the 4 Big 12 teams that are ranked coming into the season. The only one that you miss is, who are we missing here off the top of my head? I'm blanking. I don't even know why I'm missing this. Texas Tech. Texas Tech is the only one that is ranked that you miss. You have to play at Utah, which is really tough. I think that West Virginia trip, Rich Rod is going to have that team going in the right direction. And then, by the way, I kind of glossed over this, but you get the rematch game against BYU to open Big 12 home opener. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let's get to the over-under win total. Producer Matt, what is that over-under win total? It's 5.5. Okay, so let me just say this. I think some of you have been complaining, oh, Torres, you're too much of a fence sitter. You're not picking over-under win totals. We will do an over-under win total show at some point, but I'm here to tell you this. Among my favorite bets of the 2025 college football season, I'm taking Colorado over that 5.5. That's one of my favorite bets of 2025. Here's the bottom line. I always say this. When it comes to Coach Prime, I'm a Coach Prime guy. But put aside your emotion here, and let's talk this Colorado team, because here's what you need to know. First of all, they were great against the spread last year. That has nothing to do with this year. But let's just look at this team, put aside emotion. Quarterback, one of the most coveted players in the portal that could be playing at a bunch of Power 4 schools, okay? Was recruited by SEC schools, other Big 12 schools. He could be playing pretty much anywhere in the power conferences, okay? You have the deepest wide receiver room in the Big 12. Bottom line, that's not really debatable. I mean, you can argue it if you want. You have the best offensive tackle in the Big 12, Jordan Seaton. Him and Spencer Fano. Maybe Spencer Fano is a little bit better right now. Of course, Spencer Fano from Utah, going to be a first-round pick this year, but Jordan Seaton is a future first-round pick at offensive tackle. You do have the best defensive line in all of college in all of the Big 12. To me, that's not really debatable. Production, returning, this, that, Arden Walker, Sam Okunlola. That's the best defensive line in the Big 12. I keep saying in college football. I'm not saying college football. In the Big 12, best defensive line. And then you have arguably the best secondary as well. Preston Hodge, DJ McKinney. These are guys that, again, Coach Prime believes are future NFL players. So put aside my emotion, your emotion. You have a quarterback good enough to play anywhere. The best offensive tackle in this league, one of the top two. Best wide receiver room. Best defensive line room. Maybe the best secondary. I don't know what else there is to say. Over 5.5 to me, it's a hard over. I feel very confident in this one. I think we're looking at worst 7-5. But I think 7-5 to me, I don't know. I think that I think like if I was making this over under win total, I would actually have it at 7.5 because I think they can get to 8 wins plus with this schedule. So 5.5, run to the sports book because that's one of my favorite best bets. Again, we'll be doing a best bet show leading into week 0, so keep that in mind. All right, tell you what, that's it for this episode of the Aaron Torres Pod. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. This is not the Aaron Torres Pod. This is college football betting with Aaron Torres. So what I need you to do, subscribe. Apple, Spotify, our YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, just click that little button right there. Subscribe. Turn on notifications. We're previewing all of the big games. Also, Torres on CU for all your Colorado news. All right, that's it for today's show. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. We'll be back in the next couple days previewing more of the Big 12 plus the ACC. Week 0 is coming. This is another episode of College Football Betting.